What if the idea of the apocalypse didn't come from religion, but from something deeper? Because long before modern science, before global religions, before technology, humans were already convinced that the world could end. Not metaphorically, not symbolically. End. And the most disturbing part is this. Every culture imagined a different apocalypse, but they were all afraid of the same thing. When people hear the word apocalypse, they instinctively turn to religion. But religion did not create the idea of the end. It organized it. In Christianity, the apocalypse is absolute. History moves forward only once. Creation begins. Time unfolds. Judgment arrives. And when it does, history does not repeat itself. It stops. In Islam, the Day of Judgment comes suddenly, without warning, without a known time. Even the signs are unreliable. Some appear early, some repeat, some contradict one another. The message is not prediction, it is uncertainty. In Judaism, the end of the world is not annihilation, it is repair. A broken reality brought to account, then reshaped. Destruction is not the goal. Correction is. Different religions, different theologies, different moral systems, yet none of them describe the world as permanent. Not one tradition promises that reality will simply continue. Not one treats existence as stable. Not one removes the possibility of collapse. Even belief systems built on divine order assume that order can end. And this is where the discomfort begins. These ideas did not spread from a single source. They did not travel together. They did not borrow from one text. They emerged independently across cultures separated by geography, language, and time. Which raises a question religion alone cannot answer. Why does the human mind return to the same conclusion again and again? Why does belief, no matter its form, struggle to imagine a world without an ending? And more importantly, if the apocalypse is not a religious invention, then where did it really come from? Long before sacred books, humans were already telling the same story. In Norse mythology, the end is called Ragnarok. The gods know it is coming. They know how it will begin. They even know how it will end. And yet, they do nothing to stop it. The world burns. The sky collapses. The gods die. And from the ruins, a new world rises. Not salvation, not escape, replacement. In ancient Hindu cosmology, the universe does not end once. It ends repeatedly. Creation, preservation, destruction. Over and over again, entire universes dissolve, not because they failed, but because their time expired. In Mesoamerican myth, the world has already ended several times before, each age destroyed by a different catastrophe. Flood, fire, darkness, and every time humanity is rebuilt, slightly different, slightly flawed, different continents, different gods, different symbols, but the same structure. The end is not an accident, it is scheduled. And here is the unsettling pattern. In these myths, apocalypse is not a punishment. It is not a surprise. It is not even a tragedy. It is a mechanism, a reset, a cycle, a necessary collapse that allows existence to continue. Which forces a disturbing question. Why did early humans, with no telescopes, no global communication, no shared science, all imagine the end of the world in almost the same way? Not as chaos without meaning, but as an ending that makes sense. If myths are not predictions, but reflections, then what exactly were they reflecting? And why did the human mind, again and again, decide that existence itself needs an ending in order to go on? Not everyone believed the end would come from gods. Some believed it was built into reality itself. In ancient Greek philosophy, the Stoics described the universe as cyclical. They believed everything that exists would eventually burn, not metaphorically, but physically. They called it ekpyrosis, a cosmic fire that consumes the universe completely, only for everything to begin again from the same structure, the same stars, the same worlds, the same events, even the same people. To them, the end was not chaos, it was inevitability. Later philosophers approached the apocalypse differently. Nietzsche did not speak of divine judgment or cosmic fire. He spoke of repetition, the idea that existence, exactly as it is, might repeat itself endlessly. Every joy, every mistake, every collapse, again, and again, and again. Not as punishment, not as reward, but as a test. If this were true, the end would not be an event. It would be a realization, a moment where you understand that there is no final escape from existence. Modern existential philosophy took this even further. It removed gods, it removed destiny, it removed cosmic purpose. And still, the idea of collapse remained. Systems fail. Meaning erodes. Civilizations decay from within. Not because the universe demands it, but because humans do. Which leads to an uncomfortable conclusion. Even when the apocalypse is stripped of religion, stripped of myth, stripped of cosmic drama, the end does not disappear. It simply moves closer, from the sky, into the structure of thought itself. And if the collapse is not imposed from above, but generated from within, then the most dangerous apocalypse may not be a future event. It may be a condition that begins long before anything actually ends. Science does not speak of apocalypse the way religion or myth does. It avoids final language. It avoids prophecy. But it does not remove the end. It multiplies it. There is no single scientific apocalypse. There are many, and none of them come with certainty. An asteroid large enough to collapse civilization does not need intent, only probability. Climate systems do not collapse overnight. They drift, they destabilize, they cross thresholds that cannot be uncrossed. Nuclear extinction does not require hatred, only error, a signal misread, a chain reaction no one intended. Even life itself carries an expiration logic. Species disappear not because they fail, but because conditions change faster than adaptation allows. And beyond Earth, the universe offers no comfort. Stars exhaust their fuel. Galaxies collide. Entropy increases. Not dramatically, not violently, inevitably. What makes this disturbing is not the existence of these scenarios, it is their uncertainty. Science does not tell us which end will come, or when, or how close we are. It only tells us that permanence is an illusion. Every model includes collapse. Every projection contains instability. Every equation leaves room for failure. And here is the paradox. The more we understand the universe, the less stable it appears. Knowledge does not erase the apocalypse. It fragments it into possibilities, into timelines, into risks that cannot be fully eliminated, which forces a quiet realization. For the first time in history, humanity does not fear the end because of belief. It fears it because of calculation. And yet, even with all this knowledge, we still cannot say what the end looks like, only that it remains possible, always. When people imagine the apocalypse, they often picture explosions, fire, collapse. But psychologically, the end does not begin with destruction. It begins with anticipation. The human brain is not designed to process permanent uncertainty. It searches for closure, for resolution, for an ending that makes fear manageable. An undefined threat is more disturbing than a known disaster. This is why apocalyptic thinking intensifies during periods of instability. Not because the world is objectively ending, but because the mind can no longer predict it. Psychologists call this anticipatory anxiety, a state where danger does not need to arrive in order to control behavior. The body reacts as if collapse is already happening. Stress increases, decision-making narrows, time perception distorts, the future shrinks, and once the future becomes unreadable, the mind fills the gap with stories, with symbols, with visions of an ending that finally explains the chaos. This is where apocalypse becomes personal, not a cosmic event, not divine judgment, but a psychological response to prolonged uncertainty. People don't fear the end because they want destruction. They fear it because it promises clarity. An ending, even a catastrophic one, is easier to endure than endless instability. And this is the most dangerous shift of all, because once the idea of collapse settles into the mind, it begins to shape behavior. Societies stop planning long term. Trust erodes. Empathy contracts. The apocalypse does not arrive from the outside. It is rehearsed internally, again and again, until reality begins to resemble the expectation. And when enough minds anticipate the same ending, the boundary between fear and outcome becomes dangerously thin. For most of history, the apocalypse was imagined as something that happens to us, a god, a force of nature, a cosmic event beyond control. That assumption no longer holds. For the first time, humanity possesses tools powerful enough to end itself without intention. Artificial intelligence does not need malice. It only needs misalignment. A system optimized for efficiency does not understand meaning. A system trained on patterns does not recognize consequence. It does exactly what it is told, and nothing more. Nuclear technology works the same way. It does not hate. It does not choose sides. It executes instructions with perfect obedience. So does automation. So do financial algorithms. So do global systems too complex for any single human to fully understand. The danger is no longer a single catastrophic event. It is accumulation, small optimizations, local decisions, disconnected incentives, each harmless on its own, together irreversible. This is why modern apocalypse narratives feel different. They are not about punishment. They are not about fate. They are about loss of control, systems moving faster than ethics, power scaling faster than responsibility, technology evolving faster than wisdom. And here is the unsettling truth. We are not afraid of machines becoming conscious. We are afraid they will remain unconscious while controlling everything that matters. Because a conscious enemy can be reasoned with, an unconscious system cannot. The apocalypse no longer needs belief. It no longer needs prophecy. It only needs momentum. And once a system reaches a certain scale, stopping it is no longer a decision. It becomes a physical impossibility. At that point, the end does not arrive suddenly. It unfolds quietly, efficiently, exactly as designed. There is a final pattern that appears whenever humanity believes the end is near. People begin to act as if it already is. This is not belief. It is feedback. Sociologists call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, a prediction that becomes real because enough people behave as though it cannot be avoided. Markets collapse not only because of scarcity, but because of panic. Wars do not begin only from ideology, but from the expectation that conflict is inevitable. Trust dissolves faster than resources. Cooperation disappears before collapse arrives. History shows this pattern clearly. Civilizations rarely fall in a single moment. They unravel. Confidence erodes. Institutions weaken. Narratives fracture. And somewhere in that process, the idea of an ending becomes common sense. This is why apocalyptic language spreads most aggressively when societies feel uncertain about the future. Not because destruction is certain, but because hope is no longer stable. Once a society accepts the idea that collapse is unavoidable, it stops investing in tomorrow. Short-term survival replaces long-term meaning. Extraction replaces stewardship. Cynicism replaces responsibility. The end does not need to arrive. Belief alone is enough to begin dismantling the structures that prevent it. This is the most dangerous form of apocalypse. Not the one imposed by gods or nature or machines, but the one created collectively through shared expectation. Because when millions of minds anticipate the same ending, they begin to move toward it without realizing they are doing so. And at that point, the question is no longer whether the apocalypse is real. The question becomes whether belief itself has already set it in motion. After everything humanity has imagined, believed, calculated, and feared, one fact remains unchanged. The apocalypse has never arrived the way anyone expected. Every generation felt close to the end. Every era identified its signs. Every age believed it was living in the final chapter. And yet, time continued. Empires fell. Languages vanished. Worlds ended for those who lived inside them. But the planet remained. The universe remained. History moved forward, unevenly, violently, unpredictably. This creates a paradox the human mind has never resolved. If the end has always felt near, but never fully arrived, what does that say about our understanding of time? Perhaps the apocalypse is not a single moment waiting somewhere in the future. Perhaps it is a horizon, always visible, never reachable. A boundary the mind projects whenever uncertainty becomes unbearable. Not an event to be dated, but a condition that emerges when the future loses clarity. This would explain why the apocalypse changes form across eras, why gods disappear but collapse remains, why myths fade but endings persist, the language shifts, the symbols evolve, the fear stays, because the idea of an ending may not belong to the universe at all. It may belong to consciousness, trying to give shape to the fact that it cannot see what comes next. And when the future becomes unreadable, the mind does not accept silence. It fills the gap with an ending. The apocalypse has never been a single story. Religion called it judgment. Myth called it a cycle. Philosophy called it inevitability. Science called it probability. None of them were certain. What they all shared was the same unease about what comes next. Maybe the most frightening part is not that the world might end, but that we may never know when we are closest to it. Because the moment an ending becomes clear, it stops being the end. And what remains unanswered is not how everything finishes, but what happens when the idea of an ending refuses to disappear. If this question stayed with you, you already know what to do. The next part of this journey does not begin with destruction. It begins with what comes after we believe the end has passed.